Hello everyone! I've been working on my second game for nearly 3 years and it's finally finished! Today I'll take you on a journey through its development. We'll dive into old footage and play with early builds. I will also share some Steam data later. You'll see cut content and funny bugs. It will be the whole thing, from getting the idea to the final version of the game. So if you're curious about the game development process from start to finish, or just want to hear a cool story, this video is definitely for you. A quick disclaimer up front. I'm a 3D artist who decided to dive into game development 4 years ago. In just 9 months, I developed and released my first game, all without any prior programming experience. And now, here comes the second one. My wife and I are huge fans of Overcooked series. We love the chaos of cooking, chopping and serving customers in that intense co-op game, So I thought, why not create a similar one? But I didn't want to simply copy their concept. You see, both of us hold bachelor's degree in architecture, so I decided to craft our very own co-op game, but with a unique spin. It's all about designing and building structures in various historical settings. Hammers instead of knives, slabs and masonry instead of fancy plated dishes. Once I decided on the main idea, I got down to the nitty-gritty gameplay details and all other game aspects. I'm all about thinking ahead and solving potential issues early. I started sketching out the idea and even have a bunch of those sketches saved today. Here, have a look. It took me around a month to nail down the architecture elements, character design, basic level layout and the game loop. I opt for a casual, cute, low-poly style that fits my budget and tight schedule. Every decision I made was geared toward keeping the game minimalistic yet visually appealing. Actually, I had a ton of ideas how the game could have played, and right now I'm thinking it is a perfect time to share some of the other directions we considered. So, in the end of the day, I'm a big fan of building in general, but it often involves a lot of hard work from yourself, all the measurement, precise, building everything block by block. Sometimes I just wanted to bring a little magic to it, to make everything happen by itself. So initially I played with the idea of a wizard construction game, where you would play as a magician casting spells to build structures magically. It looked good on paper, but it quickly became a complex and confusing mess. It was hard to make easy to play. All of this sorcery added complexity to already overcomplicated construction gameplay. So I decided to let that one go for now. During that time, my wife hopped on board and provided invaluable feedback. Her input added depth and charm to the game. She also took charge of creating every piece of UI elements that you will see in the game. So, big shout out to her. After a few months of paper prototyping, I was ready to dive into actual development. But before we get into that, it's crucial to understand what the game is actually all about. In the game, wherever you are flying solo or teaming up with your partner, your task is to construct building with predetermined design within 3x3 grid. You have control over the floors, walls and roofs, while everything else gets constructed automatically. What sets you apart from the other building games is that you are not the builder. You are the architect. As the architect, you get to explore the design of the building, discover their architecture elements it consists of, create recipes for those elements, and then direct your builders to bring your vision to life. Once the building is complete, you've successfully finished the level. To create a prototype for this game, I needed 4 key components: a procedural building system, AI for builders, a player controller, and a material crafting system. First up is a procedural building system. This system allowed players to create virtually any building within 3x3 grid. My challenge was ensuring that every element could connect with others, especially the horizontal ones like floors, foundations and roofs. For ground foundation elements, I broke down them into modular pieces. Floors consisted of a main floor part, long connector part and an intersection connector part. I could create various patterns and structures by rotating and combining them. But the real puzzle was the roof, due to its complexity. I devised a system with around 10 roof variants based on building patterns, plus one more variation for roofs with 2 slopes. To make it work, I wrote a lengthy code in the prototype to automatically switch between roof models based on building's shape. It involved comparing distances between objects, and while it worked, I'm sure there is more efficient way. It's just what I had back then. Next up, Builder AI. I had to set up a navigation system logic for them to go to the construction materials, picking it up, and get to the building. I got the models and a set of animations to give our builders some life. During the prototype phase, there wasn't much in terms of AI, but I plan to ramp it up. More animations for smoother movements, building interactions, and at one point I even made them jump to escape sticky situations. The most enjoyable part for me was programming these little fellas. I wanted to make them feel alive. It was always a blast. Actually, I've done it in my previous game too. Creating the illusion of calm and relaxed existence for these tiny cosmonauts was fun, all in all, rewarding experience. Next, the main character. I began by creating a mesh and set of animations, then I dove into designing control system. In this game, players can gather resources, pick up and drop down construction materials to the ground, switch between construction and destruction modes, choose the right spot for building, and yes, yell at builders and construction material boxes. You might be wondering about the yelling part in the list of player actions. Well, our architects use bullhorn to upgrade boxes with construction materials, making resource gathering instant and boosting builders' working speed. You know, the essential part of any architect work. Besides that, I had to develop a construction material system. Architects in the game need these construction material boxes to obtain the necessary materials for crafting architectural elements. You can carry up to 3 materials above your head, but you can craft with 1 or 2 materials. You are free to craft them, drop them, and pick them up again. I know that picking up the right items in games like this can be tricky, and I anticipated that issue. So I designed the craft recipes to be insensitive to the order of construction materials. This way, I completely avoid this issue. Let's talk about the process of getting the construction materials. Here I took an inspiration from another favorite game, Cook Sort Delicious. I wanted to turn the often tedious task of gathering resources into more enjoyable experience by incorporating this small minigame. Rock is smashing, wood is splitting, and water is pouring, and all sounds satisfying. To guide players on the required construction recipes, I implemented a task system through the UI. Each task includes the recipe and small icon for architecture element. This task element are highly interactive. They dynamically change their visual based on the completion whenever the player has selected the construction element or not. At this point, the prototype is nearly complete. The only missing piece is level goal system. You might have noticed that the game doesn't closely follow overcooked recipe. It's not time-restricted game where you must do as much as possible within a fixed time interval. In my game, it's all about completing the goal. So I decided to introduce multiple goals to each level: time reward, quality reward, and budget reward. This way I aim to favor different gameplay styles. If you're into speedrunning and can bypass quality and design, you can still get your medal and move forward. For more relaxed approach, ignore the time limit, and you can still get your reward at the end of the level. And of course, there is the ultimate challenge for hardcore architects, achieving all 3 medals at once. It's quite a task, but I believe it can be a fun one. Now for the cherry on top, the name for this game. We went through a bunch of options. The working title for this project was Game Architecture. One day I stumbled upon the video that caught my eye with interesting and funny name, Game Architecture. We also played with classic names like Build Up or something featuring architecture and building. But the most fun came from playing with the verbs like build, build, building. We naturally gravitated towards build, builder, and the daring buildist. Yes, in modern English, buildist does not officially exist, but we decided to take a shot and drop the first two words, leaving it with the unique buildist. And that's how Buildist was looking after 6 months of development. It was time to showcase our progress at our first game festival, Indie Cup. While we didn't win, we did earn nominations in the years that followed at the same festival. It was an incredible milestone and the perfect reason to create playable build for testing. Our next big milestone was Steam Next Fest. For some reason, I decided to jump into it in less than a year of development, and only 4 months after Steam page went live. Here's the kicker: you can't participate in Steam Next Fest more than once for one game. Not the wisest move to reveal our first demo so soon, but I didn't catch that. Nevertheless, next 3 to 4 months I was busy polishing the demo for Steam Next Fest showcase. Everything went surprisingly well. I gathered around 1,000 wishlists, and it became clear that some people were excited about the game. I also gathered some valuable feedback, which proved the demo to be useful to some extent. With the demo ready, I had just 6 playable levels. Once players finished with those, there wasn't much left. So naturally, I decided to expand the concept and create more levels. I aim to offer several historical eras for players to explore and build in. I started crafting content for the rest of the game zones. The demo had already featured ancient Egypt. In addition to that, I planned to include ancient Greece, ancient Asia, the European medieval era, European Baroque, Art Nouveau, and Art Deco. Each historical era would have a minimum of 6 levels, bringing the total level count to a whopping 42 levels. Creating a wide range of unique architectural elements and distinct historical eras was crucial to me. I aimed to showcase the diversity of architecture styles and keep players curious about what the next building would look like. I didn't want to overcrowd the game with countless levels using similar architecture materials. Instead, I wanted each level to offer a unique and engaging experience. Additionally, each era introduced new construction mechanics, such as fragile construction materials, automatic batched construction, and unique environmental events like strong winds, heavy rains, and circular leaves falling. These events significantly impact your gameplay and force you to adapt to changing circumstances. With prototype ready, I started a gradual journey of creating historical eras and their content, which lasted for about a year and a half. While I was already familiar with these historical architectural styles, I also learned a lot about them, dissecting and reconfiguring various decorative elements into stylized and simplified game assets was a slow but incredibly rewarding process. It was fascinating to watch freshly created models come to life in the game almost instantly, thanks to pre-made game systems. I couldn't wait to finish one historical era and move to the next one. Everything was going great, until it hit me that the game should eventually support multiplayer. It was only my second indie game, and while I had some coding experience, multiplayer was uncharted territory for me. But since cooperative gameplay was a vital part of Buildist, I rolled up my sleeve and dove into crafting a multiplayer solution. I decided to use Pun 2 from Photon, a popular multiplayer engine with plenty of documentation and sample game projects. My game was relatively simple and, dare I say, casual. I figured it wouldn't be that challenging.
Nope.
Little did I know, every day since I started working on multiplayer code, I have never stopped it, controlling all elements to ensure that the game runs smoothly and reliably on every connected machine was no small feat. From character movement physics to setting up lobbies and establishing connection between players, everything was quite challenging, but the most critical aspect of it was handling the player inputs. The process proved to be tedious and unrewarding for the initial 4 months or so, everything seemed to fall apart every time I created a new build. At one point, I even switched my engine, moving from Pan 2 to Fusion, and it turned out to be a wise decision. The coding, debugging, disconnections, and a lot of errors were a real roller coaster, but eventually it all started to working quite well. But nevertheless, I would think twice before adding multiplayer functionality to any of my future projects because of its complexity. So, at some point, we had 42 levels across 7 historical eras, a perfectly functioning multiplayer co-op mode, and plethora of other game elements. It was a full-fledged game in every possible sense. So, I decided to release the game in early access, primarily to share with players after spending so long in the game development phase. I was thrilled to gather all invaluable feedback. With our small community, we managed to pinpoint features and ways to enhance the game. One of the most requested features was the creative mode. After all, what's a construction game without it, right? I have always admired games that empowers players with the creative tools, allowing them to shape more that's available in a regular game. It felt almost criminal not to include such option in our construction game. So I went ahead and created this creative mode, striving to make it as close to a game experience as possible. If you're familiar with being an architect, you will love it. You gain access to all construction materials, as many builders as you desire, and the freedom to build whenever your heart desires. Here's the exciting part. If you build something that actually makes sense from a construction perspective, you can mark it as playable, set goals for it, and share it online via Steam Workshop. In fact, you can even reimagine all 40 levels with your own creations and your own goals, and then share them with friends to play together. Of course, that doesn't mean that you are limited in this creative mode. You can let your imagination run wild, constructing hovering houses or even unique pieces of furniture from architectural elements. Yeah, it's tough to pinpoint when I finished this or that feature, because after a year of development and completing the prototype, I was constantly busy and polishing and adding small features here and there. These aren't always big and flashy additions. I'm talking about little things that can enhance the gaming experience. It may not seem crucial, but it makes playing the game much more relaxed and enjoyable. If you are really curious about the list of these quote-unquote not so important features, I would be delighted to share. So, the list goes like this: Game, Graphics and Sound Settings menu, the main menu, Control Rebind System, Pause menu, and all of the UI elements connected to them, local multiplayer support, widescreen support, Steam Workshop integration, Steam Achievement integration, Steam Remote Play, additional camera options, a saving system, a story and cutscenes, debugging system, analytics system, translating in-game texts into 3 more languages. Some of these are indeed small tasks, but the majority can feel like a project on its own. Alright, by now you might be wondering how it actually feels to play this game. Well, let me show you. So, you'll be the material guy or the design one? Okay, okay.
I will be the material guy.
So I'm waiting for my sand.
Wow.
It's not sand. Actually, I need some water. I'm desperate for some water. We can do it. We can do it. However, we need to increase our speed. Yeah.
Spend our money.
Unlimited water.
So not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I think it's a great start.
What will we need?
We need water, tiles, and marble.
Okay.
Oh no!
I'll give you some water. The last one.
Oh,
Ah.
the last one. Great. What a shame. It's not us. It's them. They are slow.
Yes, yes.
I'll make some setting for once. Oh no!
You-
What?
You choose the wrong spot.
We should be really fast on this one. I'm already in stress. Use, okay.
No. And
Not
I
forget, yes.
should
Supervise
be
him.
here.
Yeah.
Is it okay, guys? It's okay.
perfect. No. So we have everything ready. Start building. I don't know. I'm not sure if we can.
It should be.
He can make it. He can make it. He can make it.
Yes!
All 3 medals. Yes.
3 medals.
Yeah, perfect.
If you're still watching this video, I truly appreciate it. This journey, both for me and for my wife, has been a long one, and we are incredibly proud of building it. If you like this video and like the game, give it a try on Steam. And if you are eager for more game development videos, please consider subscribing. I'm planning to kick off a new devlog series very soon. So, see you then!